69-year-old Robert thought that after 43 years of marriage, he and Mary had been through everything together. But 3 years ago, a stroke put his wife in a wheelchair and turned him into a full-time caregiver. The greenhouse in their backyard became his only escape from the loneliness and fear of aging. When new diabetes medication started affecting his mood, Robert secretly began seeing therapist Lisa. But a business card in his jacket pocket changed everything. "You'd rather pay a stranger than talk to me?" Mary screamed, tearing the card to pieces. On the day of his first tomato harvest, she destroyed his greenhouse with her wheelchair. "You care more about them than you do about me." A secret account for relocation, their 40th anniversary boat sold, a loan for a farm in Oregon. Robert risked everything for one last chance to save their marriage. But at 69, with a bad back and diabetes, could he really manage a 10-acre farm? And would Mary ever forgive the affair that never happened? What happened on their new farm changed their lives in ways no doctor ever expected. Robert Nelson measured out the 8th scoop of ground coffee. Here, between the blue tiles of their 1979 kitchen, the grounds fell into the filter with sniper precision. His arthritis-swollen fingers trembled on the 9th scoop. The digital scale blinked 0.67 awes. He held his breath as if an extra granule might awaken the sleeping bear in the next room. The wailing theme from The Young and the Restless seeped from the living room. Mary had started season 8 at exactly 6:17 a.m. 3 years ago, before the stroke, she'd laughed at these soap operas. Now illness had turned his wife into a devotee of dramas where husbands always became villains. He poured water into the percolator, comparing the boiling sound to IV drips in hospital rooms. 3 years, 1 month, 14 days. That's how long it had been since Mary last called him Robbie. Now she only summoned him with the metallic ding of the call bell strapped to her wheelchair armrest. The bell rang just as coffee began dripping. Robert flinched, splashing hot drops onto his accounting ledger. Purple ink bloomed across the August expenses column, blurring Mary's physical therapy, $3.85, into abstract stains. He wiped his forehead with his sleeve despite the February chill outside. The thermometer read 5 degrees. "Comin', Mary, comin'." His spine crackled as he bent to retrieve a fallen sugar-free candy. Mint flavor drowned the coffee scent as he entered the living room. Mary sat before the TV, wrapped in the reindeer print blanket their son brought from Fairbanks a decade ago. On screen, a tearful heroine hurled divorce papers at her husband. Another facelift? Robert nodded at the TV, chasing her gaze. That's her 3rd new face this season. Mary clicked the remote louder. Her left hand lay alien in her lap. Her right whitened around the call bell. He reached to adjust her blanket, but stopped an inch short. Instead, he took the empty mug from her cup holder. "You burned the cookies," Mary suddenly said, eyes locked on the screen. Her voice rasped like a rusty saw. "You always leave them in 1 second too long. On purpose." He froze mid-reach. 3 days of silence broken by cookie accusations. In the 70s, such complaints ended with them making love on the linoleum. Now the sour stench of dying affection hung thicker than coffee steam. The kitchen timer rang. Robert rushed out, tripping over the Welcome to Alaska doormat. The coffee was perfect as always. He poured 2 mugs, blue with white stars for himself, gilded pink for Mary, but found her recliner empty upon returning. The kitchen window revealed Mary outdoors. Her wheelchair tracks carved precise lines in fresh powder, heading for the greenhouse. Robert yanked open the door, letting icy wind peel the fridge reminder note. Greenhouse loan due. 230 also mo. Mary, it's black ice out there. He shoved snow boots over slippers. She'd already reached the polycarbonate walls he'd built last summer. Her functional hand gripped the greenhouse door. Robert ran, knees betraying him. Please don't. He'd dreamt this dozens of times, waking soaked in sweat as Nightmare Mary destroyed his sanctuary. Warm earth and ripening tomato smells engulfed them as the door opened. Mary rolled inside, wheels crushing basil sprouts. Robert hovered in the doorway, watching her scan shelves of labeled planters. Arctic berries, experiment number 4. She read from a blueberry container, voice dripping sarcasm. Your therapy's thriving. He swallowed hard. The greenhouse was his lifeline. Among clicking thermostats and whispering irrigation lines, he could breathe. Escape being both jailer and prisoner. Mary approached tomato seedlings. Her finger brushed a fragile stem. Robert stepped forward, arm half raised in protection. Why are you here? He asked. Dr. Reynolds said no stress. Mistake. Mary turned, eyes flashing with the same fire that made him kiss her during the '83 blizzard. Now those flames only burned resentment. You tend these weeds better than our... Her hand jerked. A planter exploded on concrete. Soil scattered like brown constellations. Robert knelt, gathering stem fragments, hands shaking worse than when he'd first held their son. That was the last sprout, he whispered. 4 months' work? Mary laughed, sharp and dry like ice cracking. You mourn dirt, not me. When did you last spend 4 months on me? He looked up. Their eyes met through ceramic shards. Suddenly, Robert hated her bathrobe's powder blue, the exact shade she'd worn on their wedding night. A car engine shattered the silence. Robert stood brushing dirt from jeans. Through fogged glass, he saw the gray sedan from First Regional Bank, Jonathan Jensen, making a friendly collection call for the overdue Oregon farm payment. The notice would arrive today. I need to check mail. He moved toward the exit, avoiding her stare. Running to your therapist mistress? Mary's voice broke. Robert clenched fists. Blood bloomed where a shard pierced his palm. Lisa's not. We only... He choked on excuses. In his hallway jacket hung the torn therapist's business card, still salt-stained from her tears. He slammed the door. Snow crunched like shattered dreams underfoot. 47 steps to the mailbox. 3 fewer than usual. Robert gulped dry air, lifting the lid. A red final notice envelope topped the pile. His fingers opened it with accountant's efficiency. Numbers writhed. Past due farm payments, late fees, foreclosure threats. The loan officer's voice echoed, We gave you grace, Mr. Nelson, but our kids need... Robert turned toward home. Mary stood in the broken greenhouse window, clutching another seedling. Their eyes met through snowflakes. In that moment, he knew. If they didn't flee now, no plant would survive till spring. No hope. The snow crunched under the tires of the mail van carrying their last hope for reprieve. Robert clutched the foreclosure notice, the paper cutting into his palm sharper than the terracotta shard still embedded there. 47 steps back to the cabin became a death march. Each breath seared his lungs with Alaskan frost flavored by the bitter aftertaste of defeat. Mary waited in the greenhouse, her paralyzed hand gripping a twisted tomato seedling. Her medication-glazed eyes burned through him like laser sights. How much? She flung the plant under her wheelchair. Green sap splattered the rubber tires, recalling accident scenes Robert had witnessed driving ice road trucks in the 90s. His fingers brushed the pocket, holding their debt ledger. $4,143 monthly payments, 62 days till auction, 12% chance Mary agrees to relocate. "We need to talk," he forced out, watching her eyes lock onto the Portland postmark. "Stupid. Should have asked Farm Credit Bureau to omit their address." Mary jerked her wheelchair joystick toward the exit. Robert froze as her robe caught the potato sprout rack. Alaskan Dawn variety, 3 months cultivation, 5 lbs yield per plant. Numbers floated through his mind like life preservers. "Talk like you talk, with your—" She wheezed, colliding with the door jamb. Her shoulder twitched in grotesque imitation of laughter. "With your shrink whore." Robert swallowed bitterness sharper than peppermint lifesavers. His hand moved to adjust her crooked neck brace. 3 years of caregiving reflex. Mary recoiled as if struck. "She's just helping—" He choked on the lie, seeing her face. Crow's feet tightened into pain knots, an expression he'd only seen during midnight neuralgia attacks. The sudden ringtone shattered the silence. Eagle's "Take It Easy," assigned to Lizzie's banker husband. His heart fluttered like a greenhouse moth trapped between panes. "Don't answer," Mary whispered. Her functional hand gripped his flannel sleeve with impossible strength. "If you pick up, I'll—" The call died, then resurrected. Robert pulled free, his ice-numbed legs betraying him. He fell knees first onto the double-pane glass installed last winter for better insulation. 12% heating savings, $589 annual. The numbers danced as he fumbled for the buzzing phone. "Hello?" "Yes, Mr. Jensen, I understand." His voice sounded alien, like transmission static from an old Radio Shack receiver. "Today. I'll pay." Mary froze in the doorway. Today hung between them like live wire. Robert stood clutching the cracked screen phone. "Chinese knockoff, 87% savings." "What are you paying?" She blocked the exit, wheelchair spanning the threshold. "Where'd you get money after selling the boat?" His breathing quickened, thumb mashing the lock button. Passcode, their anniversary date. Irony. "Stop lying." Mary slammed her fist on the armrest. The clang echoed through the greenhouse steel frame. "You've taken everything, even our—" Her voice broke into rasping whisper. "Even our love." Robert reached for the gardening tool shelf, retreating into plant care ritual. His father's pearl-handled pruning shears, the sole luxury he hadn't pawned. "We're moving to Oregon," he said, deadheading a blueberry bush. "Next week." Silence thickened like Arctic whiteout. Even greenhouse fans stilled. Mary stared at the shears' glinting blades, mesmerized. "You bought land?" Her question fell like a stone down a well. "With what? My med money? Our anniversary fund? Or—" She jerked her arm, spilling a fertilizer canister. Green pellets scattered like toxic candy from Robert's nightmares. "Sold the cabin," Mary's voice screeched octaves higher. Her good arm hurled a watering jug against the wall, plastic cracked, spraying water across an outlet. Robert lunged for the cord, sizzling his fingers. The short-circuit pop harmonized with her sobs. He knelt in the puddle, Walmart clearance jeans soaking through. "Not the cabin," he rasped, wiping his face. The Arctic raspberry growing guide on the fridge bled ink tears. "The boat, Dad's coin collection, your—" He bit his lip too late. Mary stiffened. terrible understanding dawning. My jewelry box? Mom's earrings? You— Her trembling finger pointed to the empty shelf where the porcelain bear humidor lived. Robert remembered the auctioneer's French tip nails counting $320 cash. Exchange rate, $1 to the infinity of memories. I hate you, Mary whispered. Her wheelchair lurched forward, smashing the last windowsill planter. Die here, alone, with your dirt. He sat on wet flooring, listening to her chair's motor struggle through snowdrifts. The brass help bell in the living room jangled viciously, Mary ringing for assistance, for spite, because screaming stole her breath. His accountant mind auto-tallied damages. $14 for the planter, $7 fertilizer, $63 replacement watering can. But when calculating their marriage's worth, numbers disintegrated like blight-rotted berries. By 4 p.m., Robert queued at First National Bank, reeking of greenhouse bleach. Ahead stood a fisherman with guitar case backpack. Pawn for $180, retails $230. Calculating others' losses muted his conscience. Mr. Nelson. Jonathan Jensen polished his glasses with a monogrammed handkerchief. The office smelled of teak, veneer, and anxiety. We're no charity. The home equity loan— Not the home! Robert gripped the armrests, remembering Mary tearing down floral wallpaper their first night because it smelled like strangers' happiness. The Oregon farm as collateral. The banker smirked, producing documents adorned with his daughter's lemonade stand sticker. Little Emily Jensen, who once sold country time outside their cabin. Unimproved land? Risky? His finger tapped the figures. Requires supplemental collateral. Vehicle? Life insurance? Robert closed his eyes, imagining policies name a Mary beneficiary. The honest theft. Gifting her everything by losing yourself. Yes, he exhaled. Whatever's needed. The $840 check burned his pocket like hot coal. En route home, Robert detoured to Arctic Outfitters, now owned by a Korean man with salmon neck tattoo. $320 for the boat, he muttered, entering. The stench of pine tar and rust choked him. The aroma of his past, his mistakes, his before. The clerk smirked at the sold tag on Robert's skiff, centerpieced like tourist bait. Glad you reconsidered, he said, counting hundreds. His voice dripped saccharine. Your wife, she's done with seafaring, Robert snapped, grabbing the cash. Bait sack linen, left fish scales on the bills. Home greeted him with silence. The help bell lay broken. Robert climbed the stairs unwinterized since 2005. 12 steps, 38% incline, 6.7% daily fall risk. Mary slept clutching their Inside Passage cruise album. The open page showed their son laughing in a life vest, the one he'd refused wearing during the accident. Robert kicked the album, weeping childlike. Tears dripped on Mary's flannel robe, bleeding plaid into road map of fresh regrets. Midnight garage scraping woke him. Mary rummaged through a electronic salvage keep box via flashlight dimming. Her paralyzed arm dangled while the functional one sifted 1980s transistors. You— Robert hit the lights. What's left to salvage? Mary jerked, spilling seed packets. Artichoke, August 2023, 68% germination rate. His labeling accused him. Where? She shook a sunflower packet adorned with their granddaughter's sticker. The money? Robert grabbed her wrist, feeling brittle bones. They hovered over gutted memories. You'll end up mad, Mary whispered, breath minty with grief. Like him. He released her. Him, being her father, who'd squandered fortune chasing Yukon gold, family lore whispered at funerals. In Oregon there's—" he began, but his buzzing phone showed Lizzie's face. Mary stared like cornered prey. "Answer," she hissed. "Show me your lies." Robert declined, feeling the button burn. Lizzie's husband demanded another $500 for processing fees. His epitaph crystallized, "Here lies a man sold himself piecemeal." Morning saw them packing in silence. Mary unwrapped his world's dumbest fisherman mug, 50th birthday gift, and smashed it against wainscoting. Coffee spray decorated the wall like abstract art. Rather break than let her see it. She shattered a Toronto maple leaf plate, souvenir from where they'd lost their second child. Robert gripped a book box to resist strangling her. 39 Elbia, 18% sciatica risk. Between 90s accountant textbooks, he found an envelope labeled Robbie. Their daughter's crayon letter, "Daddy, when you buy me pony," preserved in 4-year-old perpetuity. Adriana. Mary reached, forgetting the broken china. Her finger traced pony in suspended childhood. Robert shut the box, wiping tears with farmer's market calendar dust. Turning, he found Mary packing china shards. "To glue back," she explained, avoiding his eyes, hands steadier than her voice. He almost said, "Some breaks won't mend. That cracks always show. That glue costs more than new mugs." But the kitchen phone rang, and through the window appeared Lizzie's husband, shadow stretching like repossession notice. Robert froze by the garage door, watching Liza's husband's shadow stretch across the snow like spilled ink. His heartbeat synchronized with water dripping from the leaky roof, 6 drops exactly, the same number of minutes it had taken Mary to piece together their betrayal from scattered evidence. He jerked the book-filled crate toward the pickup truck. Old accounting manuals thudded dully against each other, their spines keeping time like a bomb's final countdown. On the porch, Mary carefully glued cracks in a coffee mug, her trembling fingers leaving white streaks like glacial rivers charting their collapsing marriage. "Grab the toolbox," Robert barked, avoiding eye contact with the world's dumbest fisherman trophy. Every item in her suitcase now felt like a weapon of slow destruction. Mary silently nodded, clutching the photo album. The garage beams creaked as Jonathan Jensen emerged, appraising their old fishing boat with the calculating gaze of an estate auctioneer. "Checks on the table," Robert muttered, popping the truck's rusty tailgate. The scent of rotting wood from their camper shell mingled with Mary's peppermint antacids, the aroma of endless highways. The banker extended an envelope, his fingers lingering. His gaze flickered to Mary, mimicking her old ritual, zipping an imaginary child's jacket like she'd done for their son 30 winters past. 3 Oregon families lost their farms last year. "Debts," Jonathan whispered, adjusting his maple leaf tie. "In your position, I'd—" Screeching brakes drowned his advice. Liza's husband emerged from a Dodge Ram, baby booties dangling from the rear view like cursed dice. "500 or we file today," he snarled, slamming a folder on the hood. Paper scattered, revealing Liza's smile, the same that once reminded Robert of dawn over Barrow. Mary dropped the toolbox. Wrenches clanged like funeral bells. Her eyes darted between the men, sifting truth from lies in the frozen air. "What?" she began, but Robert shoved her toward the truck. "Get in, now." His voice cracked like spring ice on Lake Iliamna. Canned goods rattled in the bed. Mary gripped the doorframe, her paralyzed arm twitching, a relic from the night she'd failed to grab their son from the rushing current. We roll in 60, Robert spat, throwing a money sack at Liza's husband. Collectible coins clinked inside, echoing the day Mary's father traded grandfather's pocket watch for worthless silver dollars. The southbound road snaked through spruce trees like Alaska's scar tissue. Mary clutched a bank printout reading Collateral Life Insurance Policy. Every 10 minutes, she rubbed her thumb over Beneficiary, Mary Alice Nelson, testing the ink's permanence. "Pull over," she demanded at a no-exit next 50 miles sign. Her calm voice masked riptide undertows. Robert stiffened, foot hovering between gas and brake. The truck coasted where his heart raced, slowing precisely as their escape urge peaked. "I'll take Greyhound. Drive me to the station." Mary produced an envelope with childhood handwriting. Adriana smiled from a photo secured by a 1983 paperclip. He slammed the brakes, nearly skidding into ditch. The truck stalled in engine steam clouds, temperature gauge climbing like his shame. The music box, Dad's coins, ferry to Sitka. Mary listed charges like a prosecuting attorney. "How much more did you steal?" Falling snow merged with ash from burnt promises. Robert pressed his oily forehead against the steering wheel, sweat mixing with transmission fluid. "To save you," he whispered, knowing half-truths cut deeper than lies. Mary yanked the door handle, her paralyzed leg dangling. A derelict gas station loomed ahead, where they'd bought candy for feverish Adriana in '98. "You?" Her laugh screeched like a rusty faucet. "Think I didn't see your diary? 63 days till bankruptcy, 71% wife mortality chance?" Robert jerked sideways, spilling coffee from the cracked mug. Bitter liquid soaked the dollar store mat, transforming the cab into a telescope viewing their decade-dead retirement dreams. "Your therapy notes?" Mary flung a notebook page at him. "April 23rd, session. Discover why I stay." Gasoline fumes swirled like poison waltzers. Robert crumpled the paper, swallowing inky lies that tickle his throat with Liza's ghost. "Talking risked more than silence," he confessed, watching numbers peel from ledgers into carrion birds. Mary popped the glove box, sugar-free candies, foreclosure notices, the 38 from his Prince William Sound patrol days, artifacts of their shared dread. "Choose." She aimed at the radio blaring Hotel California. Turned back. The storm hit as Robert gripped the gear shift. Snow pellets artillery shelled the windshield, transforming highway into white void. The truck swayed, pots in back, wailing requiems. 5.5 clearance, tires at 43% tread, he chanted, clinging to numbers like life preservers. Wheels spun in powder, resurrecting memories of Jason's crash. Mary tossed the gun under seats, white-knuckling the grab handle. Paralyzed fingers dented plastic with desperate strength. "Radiator!" she shouted as smoke billowed. Robert plunged into the blizzard, scarf scratching his face with memories of their dead husky's claws. The burning hood latch surrendered after 3 frozen minutes. Steam blinded him. He ripped off fogged glasses, feeling for damage. Cracked hose. Souvenir from dodging repossession agents. "Wait," he told Mary, trudging for tools. Snow crunched like that February when Adriana disappeared. Robert grabbed epoxy, last tube from the greenhouse repair kit. Enough for one temporary fix. Returning, he froze. Mary stared at Liza's husband's cracked phone, illuminating a text. "He paid. Stay quiet. L." "What price for silence?" she asked without looking up. Tools clattered. Memories of that 2004 Juneau bookkeeper's suicide resurfaced, once seen as weakness, now recognized as calculation. "Cobra payments," he rasped, crouching over the engine. Burning radiator pane paled against Mary's silence. Wind howled with loosening bolts. 10 minutes later, her exhale signaled their marriage's makeshift mend. "Start it," Mary ordered, passing the Juno 83 Zippo. The engine coughed like a TB patient. Robert focused on invisible lane markers, shifting gears toward uncertain horizons. At midnight, they parked beneath a nightmare pine from Adriana's drawings. Mary arranged canned goods by expiration dates, ritual preserved from when kids still believed Daddy's promises. "After Oregon," she split a hardtack, "you'll leave." Robert swirled Spam gelatin, 142 calories, 67% sodium RDA, 11% heart attack risk. He swallowed, imagining statistics shredding esophagus. "We'll grow apples," he deflected. Mary hurled her cracker into darkness. Its vanishing thump startled them both. "I refuse to haunt you daily." She nodded at the empty tomato jar. Last greenhouse yield. A antlered moose battered the hood, bloodshot eyes mirroring their exhaustion. 2 days later, the pickup limped into Willamette Valley with valve knock accompaniment. Mary slept clutching an apple sapling, surprise she'd yet to discover. Robert turned onto a dirt road, comparing reality to internet photos. Chemical-scorched earth replaced promised orchards. A meteor crater from the 70s hosted tractor bones. Mary awoke to his strangled cry, familiar from decades of diabetes night checks. "Here?" Her laugh cracked the windshield. Robert stepped into rancid mud. Where was the volcanic soil? "Scam!" Mary hissed, her cane puncturing the tire. He scrambled for the air pump, but found empty toolboxes. Liza's husband's note glittered beneath. Collateral for silence. $300. Rain began as Mary discovered the therapist's card beneath a collapsing barn roof. Anger management specialist faced a child's apple drawing Liza used during sessions. "We'll recover." Robert reached out. Mary drowned the card in a puddle. No. She faced their ruined dream. "Show me the ledger." Robert opened the glove box. No accounts book, just Liza's sealed letter. Mary tore the envelope. A photo fell out. Robert and Liza at a clinic cafe. His finger pointed to blood sugar charts, her hand adjusting glasses. "Thanks for anger management tips," Mary read, voice breaking on tips. They stood until red ink bled into abstract art. Robert fished out the soggy card. 555001. Her cane smashed his wrist. Paper disintegrated in mud. "Build your damn farm," Mary hissed toward the collapsed homestead, "but your rot stays buried with us." That night, while Mary slept by fence post flames, Robert unearthed Adriana's childhood letter beneath shattered ceramics. "Want pony?" it pleaded, pressed dandelion crumbling. Morning revealed Mary planting the sapling by the meteor crater. "Wolf River," she muttered, forcing roots into mud. "Dad's variety." Robert leaned against rotten posts, awaiting punishment. Mary simply traced sapling bark, leaving fingerprint grooves. "Lie down," she ordered. He sank into cold earth beside the tree. Mary draped her frayed bathrobe over his legs like swaddling sick child. "Your numbers killed us," she whispered, watering sapling with ashtray rainwater. "But maybe fools alone resurrect dead things." She spit into mud, despising nature's wastefulness. Robert watched saliva spiral with raindrops, mirroring their Yukon River camping trip 43 years past. Then wind answered life's questions. Now their mingled breath fogged the young apple tree's bark with fragile hope. The first apple blossoms appeared the same week Mary found the empty jewelry box. Robert heard her scream while fixing the irrigation pump he'd rigged from gutter scraps and tin cans, a sound that echoed that April dusk in 2001 when state troopers came about their youngest daughter's wreck. He crashed through the sagging farmhouse doorway, shoulder slamming the rotten frame. The warped door fell inward, releasing spores of black mold. Mary crouched by the cold fireplace, trembling hands clutching a faded red velvet box with tarnished gilding. Her eyes darted through shadows, hunting phantom thieves. "Grandma's earrings," she whispered, tilting the hollow case toward feeble sunlight slanting through cracked windows. "You promised." Robert leaned against damp sheetrock, sweat trickling beneath his dead son's hand-me-down flannel. 3 days prior, he'd pawned the heirlooms at First Street Pawn and Loan in Portland, Oregon. $280, exactly the cost of 12 strawberry starts and drip irrigation hoses. "Found them here?" He lied through yellowed teeth, staring at termite-chewed floorboards. Mary hurled the box. The dull thud of velvet meeting fieldstone drowned out mourning doves cooing on the roof. She rose, using her hickory walking stick, carved from that same pine they'd slept under hitchhiking to Woodstock. Her face twitched like jammed projector film. 3 generations, she advanced, cane gouging the linoleum. "My wedding band next?" Robert retreated past exposed studs where a door should be. Mortgage payment, $670. Bank balance, $73. Exactly 9 days' groceries if they halved portions. He licked cracked lips, tasting iron. "Should have bought you saplings." Mary pushed past. "Lie down in dirt, strangle you barehanded." That night they ate truck-stop potatoes fried in used motor oil. Mary sorted mail delivered by a long hauler, electric bill, funeral home flyer, letter with Juneau postmark. She slit the envelope with a chipped nail from her salon days. "Lizzie." She tossed the page into their cooking fire. "Wants reconciliation." Robert's fork clattered on gravel. Burning paper curled like their marriage contract. He fled to check the apple tree, avoiding answers that changed nothing. Moonlight silvered leaves already spanning a child's palm. Kneeling, he felt bone-dry soil. Needed to extend the irrigation hose stolen from Old Man Thompson's abandoned spread last Tuesday. "Damn you, Mr. Tomato," he muttered, recalling the wheezy Italian who'd sold them these cursed 10 acres. 6 months calculating costs. Forgot to check the EPA land history. Gravel crunched behind him. Mary stood holding a rust-streaked watering can in one hand, his journal in the other. Pages fluttered like surrender flags. Fungal blight. She dribbled brackish water. Page 27. Robert grabbed the can, feeling her arthritic fingers brush his. 1 second of contact, enough to remember painting their Chicago porch blue in '85, laughing at speckled jeans. "Scheduled to treat," he began. "Your schedule would have us dead on time." The stolen hose burst at 2 a.m., flooding their Coleman tent. Robert woke shivering, clutching soaked blankets. Mary stared at mildewed canvas, fingers worrying the sleeping bag's edge, a knitting rhythm from days before her stroke. They'd gifted her bamboo needles a week prior. "Could have rigged drainage." Her morning words came crisp as he dug runoff trenches. "Without your petty thieving." Robert dropped the shovel, palm bleeding. 7 years nursing her like hothouse orchids, now she tilled earth with a kitchen knife turned hoe. His frugal gospel became farce beside her desperate pragmatism. By noon, trenches channeled floodwater to beds. Mary directed flow with her cane from a stump perch. Her left arm trembled, spilling more than it carried. "Stoics would weep," she drawled when water reached the first seedling. Robert wiped sweat with his sleeve, leaving topsoil streaks. Midday sun promised evening storms. His wristwatch, Mary's 20th anniversary gift, reminded insulin in 40 minutes. "Glucose check." Her voice cut through cicada drone. He nodded, noting her translucent eyelids. Darker circles. Missed dialysis week showing. The test strip canister emptied over their folding table. Robert tapped stubborn grains of hope. Mary leaned in the doorway, clutching her food diary, pink notebook bought instead of checks. Complications. She glanced at blank sugar tracker. He grabbed truck keys, but bald tires had flattened behind the barn weeks ago. 3 miles to Rite Aid. Diabetic neuropathy. Boot soles parting like old marriages. "Take." Mary offered her peeling sequin purse. Inside, the earrings. He froze, mud under nails throbbing with heartbeat. "Pawn proper." Her voice cracked. "Finish betraying us." Town greeted him with stroller-filled boutiques. Robert clutched the velvet box like it might dissolve with his remaining conscience. First Street Pawns, closed for maintenance sign, turned him toward Gold Rush Jewelers' best prices. The eyebrow-pierced clerk snorted appraisal. 925 silver, Grandma Core aesthetic. Earrings clattered on digital scales. "Hundo. Keep your pants on, old-timer." Robert gripped the counter. Buzzsaw blades behind glass hummed reminders to buy generator oil. 2. He met smirking eyes. Blue torch flame licked metal, revealing stress fractures. "Family curse?" The clerk tilted earrings. "Wouldn't wear 'em if you paid me." Robert snatched heirlooms, palm bleeding on jagged edges. Door chimes rang funeral bells. At the bus stop, a teen girl studied biology notes. Cell structure diagrams blurred into memories of Mary's necrosis pamphlets. After 14 minutes, Robert left the box beside her latte. The walk home burned through shoe soles. Smoke greeted him, Mary torching invasive knotweed. Flames licked fence posts. "Help!" She flung bucket splashes. They fought fire shoulder to shoulder, embers branded shirt sleeves with memory holes. As flames died, Mary gripped his elbow. "Cash?" Trembling hands betrayed her true fear. He produced a sweaty 20. "Move!" She dragged him toward their medical tent. Dusk painted insulin vials bloody. Mary drew doses, counting under breath. The needle wavered at his stomach. Learned. "Hospital," he mumbled. "Hush," she injected, watching his face. "Hear that?" Freeway drones merged with dove song. Night pressed like a failing levee. Robert slept in the Ford's bed. Dreams twisted apple boughs into Lizzie, holding flowcharts of his failures. Dawn found Mary asleep by dead coals. Journal on lap. Her split shoe revealed earrings hidden in the sole. He gulped damp air. Sunrise turned dew to shattered mirrors. When Mary woke, he was already nailing barn steps. God's justice. She tossed the empty box at his shadow. He wordlessly handed over greenhouse plastic stolen from the Johnsons' yard. They worked until dark, stretching polyethylene over PVC pipes. Firelight painted their waltz. 2 shadows merging in mutual ruin. First strawberry bud unfurled the morning Mary couldn't rise. Robert presented the bloom on dirt-crusted notebook paper. She faced the wall, but touched petals with her dead hand when he left. That night's storm shredded the greenhouse. Robert raced through lightning-lit, rain-gathering wreckage. Mary counted thunder intervals from the truck. 42, 43, like Grandma taught during Kentucky storms. Morning revealed the apple tree snapped. Roots thrust upward like unearthed bones. Mary hugged the broken trunk. Too late. Mud streaked her cheeks. Robert mixed epoxy glue, mending cracks until fingers fused. Mary bandaged her with torn dish towels. Money reappeared. She nodded toward earrings in a mason jar.
А там люк, блядь, нихуя. Там люк солнечной панели, который охлаждает машину в жару.
New rain, blurred blame and apology. Work done, Mary offered nettled tea. Beggar's choice. They sat under plastic scraps listening to runoff. A barn owl cried, ghost of Juneau nights. Pawn me off. Mary stared at the water. Lizzie, her hedge fund husband, anyone. Robert met her gaze. She joked same before their Vegas chapel wedding. To you. He echoed 1978's answer. Her snort carried first hope in months. That night, hiding from rain in the truck, Robert found Lizzie's letter under the seat. On the back of a child's sunflower drawing. Mom really meant to save him. Her cane smashed his wrist. Paper disintegrated in mud. Build your damn farm, Mary hissed toward the collapsed homestead. But your rot stays buried with us. That night, while Mary slept by fence post flames, Robert unearthed Adriana's childhood letter beneath shattered ceramics. Want pony? It pleaded, pressed dandelion crumbling. Morning revealed Mary planting the sapling by the Meteor crater. Wolf River, she muttered, forcing roots into mud. Dad's variety. Robert leaned against rock posts, waiting punishment. Mary simply traced sapling bark, leaving fingerprint grooves. Lie down, she ordered. He sank beside the tree. Mary draped her frayed bathrobe over his legs like a swaddling sick child. Your numbers killed us, she whispered, watering sapling with ashtray rainwater. But maybe fools alone resurrect dead things. She spit into mud, despising nature's wastefulness. Robert watched saliva spiral with raindrops.
Нет, а прям бэушкой нахуй закопать и все. И сдать ее нахуй.
Then, wind answered life's questions. Now, their mingled breath fogged the young apple tree's bark with fragments. Robert stood frozen with the in his hands as rain drummed
Я говорю,
Jacob's
чтобы потом его
roof.
снять и
A
постелить
headlight
нормально.
flickered to life. Final gasp of the dying battery, illuminating Lisa's words scrawled in purple ink across a child's drawing of a house with craggy windows. His callous fingers trembled, smoothing the crumpled edge when gravel crackled behind him. Mary stood in the doorway wrapped in a singed quilt. Raindrops caught in her wrinkles like glass shards. Her gaze flicked to the envelope, and Robert felt the old radio in his chest, tuning to fear's frequency. Chelsea called, she said, turning toward the darkness, asked if we needed volunteers.
Короче, через
He
год два
tucked
я
the
понял.
envelope behind his belt buckle, calculating. Their daughter turned social worker after the accident hadn't answered letters in 3 years. Now, with their farm resembling apocalyptic movie props, she reappeared
Нет, я про
offering charity that
финальный
reaped
результат
penance.
сданной квартиры.
Deadbeat. Mary tossed a bundle of zip ties onto the seat, chasing lone forgiveness. They spent the night wrestling carves over surviving saplings. Robert secretly inventoried their supplies. 4 bloated carrot seed packets, half a jar of Miracle-Gro, 3 insulin vials expired by 8 weeks. His ledger, gained then lost, a medical fund entry. Improvised cheaper, scrawled through it. Dawn revealed the apple tree's bandaged split. Mary, digging with pruning shears, unearthed a 1983 soda bottle beneath the roots. Joe and Sarah run, remembering selling old man Tomoto's warnings. Robert smashed it with a
Да
shovel.
нет, вон мы сейчас
Romantics.
смотрим в Москве,
Mary
приезжаешь,
smiled,
блядь.
gathering shards
Спальные
in a pie
гарнитуры,
tin.
кухонные
Her fingers
гарнитуры, за копейки,
rediscovering
Жень.
their tremor. Chelsea arrived midday in a rusted van sporting
Да похуй,
a
блядь,
spiritual
что там
healing
стрять?
decal.
За
She
пересоберешь
unloaded rice
просто,
sacks
ну,
and a
под себя и
second-hand
все.
mobility
Просто там, понимаешь, блядь,
scooter
типа,
that stared at
за,
Mary with
там, вот я последний раз
judgmental
видел,
eyes.
60, 50, 70 тысяч.
Bank repo
Типа,
special.
кухня, блядь,
Her
там,
daughter
8
jabbed the
метров,
ignition.
блядь,
The
со
scooter
островком,
lurched,
со всей
toppling a
техникой.
basil planter. State surplus from Juneau. Mary circled the machine using her hazelwood
тебе
cane,
надо вообще, наверное,
leaving
метров 3.
trail like dots in mud. Not my style, she said, eyeing the hill where her wheelchair lay buried. Robert calculated battery costs, $70. 2 weeks' groceries or 3 soil treatments. His gaze
Я бы
snagged
на
on the
твоем месте
wire
реально
spool of the
посмотрел в
truck bed.
Авито. Бэушный, блядь,
tree
приехал бы, взял нахуй, не ебал.
Chelsea launched into her spiel.
Да, конечно,
Free
ящики, блядь,
senior
пересобрать.
legal
Как там
aid,
резать-то,
SNAP
блядь? Тем более у тебя весь,
benefits, support
тем более весь
groups for
инструмент есть.
enabling relationships. Mary
И
cut her
встанет
off,
это тебе, блядь,
slamming a
сильно
shovel at her
дешевле.
boots. Dig drainage by north fence. Bury your sermons with the dirt. Hiding a smile in his collar, Robert hauled wire to the barn. Their arguing voices blended
Сдать ее нахуй за
westward winds
25
carrying
тысяч,
empty
ее
promises. He checked his watch. Insulin,
Так
6
у тебя бы
days
в год, блядь,
expired,
полляма нахуй
blood
почти.
sugar coasting past manageable. At dusk, Chelsea left, reclaiming her scooter, but abandoning a frozen pizza.
Я
Mary
просто
split it
знаю, что
over
ты с ней.
campfire
Она уже, блядь,
coals.
лет 5 стоит, 7.
Your daughter paid triple at Trader Joe's. They
Ебать,
ate
натуре уже
silently,
под 10
listening to foals gnaw strawberry
Ну вот,
roots.
и под 10,
The
блядь, ты
pickup's
нахуй
headlight,
каждый год по
their
150
night-long
теряешь,
beacon,
грубо если.
died with a defeated hiss.
Ты уже,
Moonlight
блядь,
found
1,5 лям
Robert
проебал, а так бы
straightening
мог,
wire
блядь, уже
with
5
pliers.
заработать.
The metal's resistance mirrored Mary's
И вот в строящемся
post-stroke
новом доме
stubbornness
еще бы
about
хату
therapy.
взял.
He bent the strand too far. It snapped, gashing his palm. Hear that? Mary emerged holding
Я бы
a
так
soup
сделал.
can lantern. Shaky light revealed the apple tree. Branches splinted with pine resin like broken fingers. He shook his head, catching her peppermint shampoo smell from their Juneau
Так,
days.
бля, ладно, ты без руки бы был.
Touched his shoulder.
Ебать, у тебя тоже с
First
руками.
intentional
Там все
contact
самому можно
in
сделать за
78 days.
существенные маленькие
Screech owls,
большие деньги.
she whispered, aiming light toward pines, foretelling loss.
Ну, плитку,
Next
да, ну там
morning,
что плитку,
Robert found
пятнашку
a
возьму,
rusted
блядь.
pump in the well.
Ну, я и говорил,
6
пятнашку.
hours scrubbing gears with Mary's wedding day
А что там дорого? Самое
When
чмошное
black
ебало
sludge
всё.
gushed, he roared
Тебе,
like
понимаешь,
a new father.
Если ты
Mary
захочешь
hauled
потом в
buckets
этой
on her
хате жить,
weakened
тебе один
side,
хуй надо будет
hunched
сделать
under
ремонт.
winter's past. Her
Я тебе поэтому и
dragging
говорю,
foot carved
вот я бы на
furrows
твоем
where
месте реально,
Robert
блядь,
planted
ну там,
turnip seeds.
есть линолеумы, я смотрел,
Ate a
блядь.
compliant
У вас
farmer.
тем более прицеп
She said,
есть,
catching
есть
his
на чем
stare.
съездить. Если
Dusk
бы у меня
brought their
было так,
first
нахуй, я бы
harvest,
себе всю
3
квартиру
carrots,
совершенно по-другому
6
сделал.
radishes.
А тем более там дом.
Mary graded them on a tin grater, adding
Такие,
fence
блядь,
row
спальные
nettles.
гарнитуры видел,
The
пиздец,
stew
люди,
smelled
блядь,
of
я
hope
не
and
знаю, с чего
oxidized
такие. И это, понимаешь, не
$2.12
единичный случай.
per serving.
Вон мы сейчас кухню
Etching
смотрим,
numbers
кухня,
on the
блядь.
table with his knife.
Эта
Mary
кухня,
dumped her
сука,
portion
стоит
back into
минимум
the
2
pot.
миллиона.
Asset
Минимум, блядь.
reallocation.
Массив,
countered,
блядь, Италия,
limping to check
со всей
drainage.
фурнитурой, Блум, блядь, и со всей
That night,
техникой Миеля,
Robert
блядь.
risked reading
И
Lisa's
типа
letter
продают, блядь, за
by
там,
Zippo
сколько мы
Light.
сказали, 100?
Matches drowned last week.
Ну да, типа,
He decided.
разброс от полтоса до
Mary
400,
called me
но их
farm
много.
sale day.
И все
Begged
время
me to
обычно
help
с техникой. И вот
for
последний раз, я
tremors
бабушке
spread
показывал,
from
бабушка хуела.
fingers to jaw. He did the math.
Есть
She'd
выставочные, а
contacted
есть
the
люди.
therapist hours after signing the deed. That golden May evening, he'd made her cocoa, plotting escape. A magpie shriek made him turn. Mary stood holding their shattered Juneau thermos 4 to 5 years,
И есть, но
engraving barely
и там тут
legible.
ценники просто я в ахуе, блядь.
Insulin. She
Ну,
offered
типа,
a chipped vial.
то же самое спальные
Taste
гарнитуры. Я сейчас
He
не смотрел, а
snatched
мне до
it,
этого
checking
попадалось.
expiration.
Вот я
1
прям
year
удивлен
overdue,
был, блядь.
but
Там
her
тоже
dilated
разбросы,
pupils
блядь, от
spoke of
30 до
different
50.
emergencies.
Двухспальная огромная кровать,
Why?
блядь, обычно
Yes.
с
Feeling
тумбочкой, либо как
concrete vanished
минимум,
beneath
ну,
it.
высадочные
Why keep
тумбочки
failures?
точно, и еще какая-то
She waved at
гардеробная
the first
зона, блядь.
aid kit's dusty
Прикольно, блядь.
band-aids. Museum of regrets.
А тебе это,
grabbed her
чё,
wrist,
ну,
bird-like
мозги-то палят,
compared to their
закинул,
wedding
все
day.
поставил, да сдавай
Enough!
нахуй.
Erupted louder than intended.
Говна
Rage's
понавесил
flashbulb
с
caught them
Валберса
both.
за там
Mary
3 копейки,
marched
блядь, а-ля
on
в
her
дизайн.
cornered
И все.
Tomcat. Enough pretending, enough digging, enough saving me. He shook her arm, the thermos shattering in the doorway. Mary twisted free, stumbling. Her cane skidded on wet planks. He caught her waist. First real contact in 120
Один
days
долбоёб
paralyzed the
поворачивал
boat.
вовремя, второй
You,
долбоёб
she began, voice
оттормаживался
fracturing.
до финала.
Robert felt her ribs through cotton. Hunger's abacus, wet wool and rust blended with her shampoo. Essence of their marriage. They stood until triple-owled hoots. Mary withdrew first, moving with wounded grace. Demolition crew tomorrow, she said, retrieving her cane. We'll clear the barn. Alone among shards, Robert counted wall cracks. 6
Ну, по факту
vertical,
из-за этого
3
еле шагать
horizontal.
едем.
The birdcage he'd built for her 50th. Morning brought workmen with fast eviction signage. Mary haggled the barn removal down to free lunch. Robert dug trenches, watching her command men half her age. When the first wall fell,
Ну, смотри, что сучара
Revelation
делает.
spilled with splinters. 1980s love letters, empty Prozac bottles, Lisa's thanks for believing in me photo. Robert froze, swallowing time's dust. Trash, Mary said, tossing the picture into flames. A snake-tattooed worker whistled at the letters. Score, Granny? Mary snatched them, feeding the fire. Flames licked forever yours into smoke.
Едет, дрочит, то,
Robert
блядь,
gripped
разгонится,
his shovel as
упрется, то, блядь,
decades
нахуй
burned.
ее
His
затормозит.
foot found something solid. Their Juneau house photo, the greenhouse corner, a ghostly accusation. By noon, only foundation remained. Robert's hand etching 1985-2024 in concrete. Mary paid the crew with nettle soup as he unearthed a metal box under floorboards. No shit,
Мелкие бы
work
попали.
appeared over his shoulder. Old folk treasure. Inside lay yellowed 1972 agricultural
Машина
bonds
есть,
and
обычно
a
здесь
deed
меньше машин.
addendum. The previous owner had willed the land to a church. Selling cleanses my soul, the note read. Your decency's a relic. Robert did mental math. Enough for irrigation, beds, a new wheelchair, or one-way tickets to yesterday's Juneau. Mary bounced a coin like a golf ball, meant for Chelsea's dowry. He shut the box with a gunshot snap. His pinky trembled, tracing 5% APR in air. Sell, he said, tasting betrayal. Mary turned to the worker, offering a coin. Get it authenticated. That evening's appraisal confirmed gold. By firelight, Robert allocated coins, 6 for debts, 3 for treatment, 1 for seeds. Mary hammered fence posts barehanded. Bedtime, she called as moon rose over barn ashes. Doze yourself. Robert shook his head. Numbers pulsed. $18,643 total, 200 month payments. Mary, we'll settle debts with gold. He stood, dropping the box. Coins rolled into darkness, collecting moonlight. Our families, we're selling the story. She tapped
Один едет как чему
1892
ебаный, второй так ходит.
Sierra Nevada mining stock. He laughed his first real laugh since Alaska. Ragged chuckles becoming coughs. Mary thumped his back, counting. 5, 6, enough. Sleep now. Engine roars woke them. Headlights blinded
Это,
their
блядь,
tent.
едет тормозит,
A
сука, этот
Stetson
едет,
hatted
блядь,
man
спит,
tapped his
нахуй.
rifle
2
stock.
газона, блядь.
Reckon you found my inheritance. Robert squinted through sleep's cobwebs. Old man tomato's ghost. Same Don Juan eyes. Same eyebrows scarred. You died, Mary hissed, grabbing a paring knife. Died? The Italian
И это
spat
может
juicy
ехать
fruit on a gold
нормально.
coin. Drunk's not dead. Now hand over my loot. Robert tallied odds. 5-1 against age, diabetes, Mary's Parkinson's. He reached for his shovel, but exhaustion shackled him. The contracts burned. Tomato fired skyward. Mary lurched forward, cane aimed like a rapier. Hold! He froze. An owl hooted warning. Now listen. Police incoming. Chelsea emerged, waving her phone. Robert grabbed Mary's hand. They hobbled toward the truck as gunfire shattered night. The strongbox stayed by dying embers. Mary whispered through cracked ribs. 5 Chelsea swerved onto the highway, fleeing, pursuing headlights. Robert watched their burning farm shrink. Apple tree broken again. In the ER parking lot, he inventoried leftovers. 3 coins,
Там вроде просто
Lisa's rubber
рассосали.
photo, meds list. Chelsea smoked beneath a lamppost, staring at a riot. Mom said you tried fixing everything.
Но мы выехали в
Blood sugar
14,
spiking like overloaded
показывало 2
circuits.
часа 50 минут.
All of it? Rebooting.
Сейчас
Because
2:48.
farm does.
А сейчас
Again,
показывает, что
Dawn found
осталось
them at
еще час
Mary's
16.
bedside. The doctor
Мы
lectured about
проехали
fractures and home care.
54 минуты.
Robert mentally
То есть
budgeted.
40 минут.
Truck sale went on $200, apartment $800, therapy priceless. Mary awoke as Chelsea left for coffee. Her fingers found his sleeve. We're going back. He watched her heart monitor's green peaks. No infrastructure. Got drainage, she faintly smiled. 3 coins in your boots. Chelsea returned, catching their clasped hands.